So I hope everyone enjoyed the Tonight Show. And now, as part of the Tonight Show, we have Tim Kosen with us. You know, Johnny always brought out a guest to sit on the couch next to him. So I'm going to invite Tim Kosen. Everyone welcome Tim Kosen to F.A.C.E.
Welcome, Tim.
Here he is. Hello, Tim. Waiting to hear your voice as you walk on stage and your screen.
Perfect.
Got it, buddy. Nice to hear your voice, Tim.
Nice to hear you too, Dale. Where's which screen are we on?
Right now you're back on mine. You had a screen up before.
Let's try that. How's that?
That's it. It's showing your desktop right now.
This stuff? Okay,
yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Over here.
So Tim, you know, I know you from Twitter. Are you a regular F.A.C.E. attendee?
You know, more or less. I really enjoy the daily webinars when I can get to them. I really appreciate what you've done with the place. It's kind of a fun thing to just come in and kind of see what other people think about what the market's doing, and then also kind of get other perspectives. And then obviously, you know, love this part of the Johnny Carson show. It's a lot of fun.
Let me ask you this. You're a private trader. So, you know, unlike a lot of guests that I have come on, you know, they have a service, some type of service for another revenue stream. I know you're involved in real estate. We chatted a little bit on Twitter. Tell us about how you got into trading, what it was like for you. Did you have mentors, and kind of take us back in time and talk about your journey into trading?
Yeah, it's like Land Before Time was forever ago. Well, like you said, I've been in real estate actually quite a while, pretty much out of college, and then started looking at trading, I guess, in 2007, 8, something like that, as just kind of part-time, kind of for fun. And something to just look at in addition to real estate, and then really kind of took off from there, and now I actually kind of bounce back and forth. I do both. I love trading quite a bit. Also love real estate. I know some of the guys talk to Blake about real estate, for instance. Talk to some of the other traders about real estate every so often. And what I think is interesting is really the kind of the commonalities that you see between something like trading and something like doing real estate, you know, full time.
What are they?
Well, I think there's kind of a misconception when people need to get into trading that trading is a job, and it's the same type of thing in real estate. You think real estate is a job when, you know, it is a job. It has aspects of a job, but in a traditional job, you trade time for money. Even in a sales job, you trade. You go to the sales meetings, you pound the phones, you do whatever you do, and you trade that hopefully in exchange for a certain amount of money at the end of the day, at the end of the week. And trading and real estate both are very similar in that there's not a direct positive correlation to how much time you spend and how much money you make. Sometimes when you overmanage a trade, like we all know this, when you overmanage something, you know, you see a great target, you see a great entry, you see a great risk reward, and then you get in and you overmanage it, you overthink it, you move the stop down prematurely and get clipped, or, you know, whatever it might be, when you really would have been better just sitting on your hands. And real estate's not exactly in that respect, in that you know, the more you manage it, the less you make sometimes. But the real big commonalities, I think, between the two is the misconception of treating one like a job, treating one like you go to the office on Monday and you get paid for going to the office on Monday. You don't do that in either business. And I think new traders, especially, or new real estate investors, could really, you know, kind of take a tip from that.
So there's no immediate gratification in either. There's knowledge, but there is no secret. But it still takes hard work to be accomplished at both.
Absolutely, and in trading especially. The time, it's easy, man. I've done it. I've sat there in front of a screen for 12 hours because I don't know, because I had nothing else to do, I guess. My time would have been better spent surfing or doing something else. I think we've all done that. It's easy to kind of quite, well, I put in a long day at the office, and you have
where do you surf in Texas? I know it used to be in Coronado before.
It's horrible out here. I haven't tried yet. I gotta go back to San Diego for that.
Okay, all right.
I'm a La Jolla Shores or Scripps kind of guy personally. So
what?
I'm a La Jolla Shores or Scripps Pure kind of guy. I hang out there. I'm in town.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was more towards Swami's and Moonlight
Okay, okay.
in Carlsbad.
I'd go the other
Yeah.
direction. I'd go down to I'd get on a Tourmaline and do some longboarding every now and then.
You see any, I use a parallel, the metaphor that great surfers don't try and catch every wave. You paddle out to the break line and you wait for the right setup. You see any similarities between surfing and trading?
You know, I'm glad you brought it up.
Besides the patience part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I used to, been doing this long enough, back in the day, I used to write an occasional guest article on SFO magazine back before PFG went bust. And then did I think it was a weekly article for a minute on Trader Planet because they took over the SFG brand. SFG? No. SFO, sorry, SFO mag. Anyway, they took over the brand, and I actually wrote one of the articles on kind of correlating surfing to trading with exactly that mindset, where, you don't take every trade, you don't take every wave, you have patience. And sometimes even you take the perfect wave and you don't ride it right, you don't manage the trade right. And it's an interesting article. I should dig it up and see if I can email it to you. I'm sure it's around here somewhere.
Was that the Stock Futures Options magazine?
Yeah, that's the one. Way back in the day.
Wasn't that the one owned by Russ Wassendorf at PFG?
Yep, yeah, exactly.
So you're a grave dancer, aren't you, Tim? So did you wait for him to be convicted and you got it for $100, the brand?
No. Who bought that? I forget. Trader Planet bought out SFO magazine.
Oh, okay. I know Julie Saltzman at Trader Planet.
Okay, I don't think I know her. I knew, Kira?
Okay.
Probably
I think they're actually kind of an arm for an auto trade type of software.
Yeah, I don't know much about their back end. I haven't even looked at them in forever.
Anyway, let's. If you told us about your journey, how many years have you been trading now total?
Well, off and on. Again, since about 2008, and it's been, like with everyone, I think it's been a fun journey. There's not really I know your next question, obviously, is how long does it take to make money? And
stop playing Kreskin with me.
Absolutely.
Kreskin was on the Johnny Carson show quite a bit too.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
But there's not really a real answer to that question, because I know some people that trade stocks lightly, and maybe they follow a service, or maybe they have a mentor, and they make money. Not a lot of money, but they make money right away. And I know forex traders or stock traders that struggle for years and years and maybe never attain profitability because they can't wrap their mind around the complexities of it. They kind of can't get out of their own way and really listen to the market. So there's not really a right answer to that. I think, like for myself, the real answer is about 2 years, I think, probably for most people, and I think for myself also to kind of feel comfortable doing it. But that doesn't mean that a decade in you don't have setbacks, and you don't get excited or scared or whatever it is. And
that's real.
Absolutely.
That's real.
And absolutely.
I've tweeted, even the greats have drawdowns.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, and even in real estate, man, we make bad deals from time to time, and they suck because unlike Forex, if you make a bad trade, you're
easier to get out of a Forex trade than a real estate transaction.
I've lost a lot more money in real estate than Forex, that's for sure. Doesn't mean I haven't. Doesn't mean you haven't made
most people wouldn't believe you unless they just point towards the crash in 2008. But most people would say, especially here in Southern California, how can you lose money in real estate in Southern Cal? They don't print any more land.
I knew that I'd been in real estate a long time. I went to an investor meeting. I hadn't been to one, I don't know, probably a couple of years, in 2009 or 2010 or something like that in San Diego. And I was talking to some guys that were thinking they were hot shots, buying and selling houses like we all do. And I just flat out asked them, like, well, tell me about a deal you lost money on, man. He says, oh, no, we haven't lost money on any of our deals. I'm thinking, well, hell, you haven't been in this long enough, then, have you? Because eventually something goes wrong, even in a good market. And in a bad, anyone can make money in a good market if you do enough volume. But when things turn around and stuff goes wrong, it doesn't matter how good your strategy is, or how good your plan is, or how good your property is, or how good your trade is. If the market's against you, get out. And it's a lot harder to do, especially in something that's not liquid like a large real estate asset.
Okay, I'd like to ask you this, and then I want to get to the charts you have up here. Having been in real estate so long, first of all, did you believe after '09 that home prices would recover to new all-time highs?
Oh, heck yeah.
And what do you think the status of it is now? They say there's no bubble because the banks have deleveraged. They don't have the toxic paper. What do you think of real estate now that's come back like a lion?
You know, I think people always point to there's no bubble that's caused by the same thing that the last bubble was caused by. There's no ninja loans, you know, no income, no job, no whatever the asset or whatever the heck a ninja
Oh yeah,
was.
you mean liar loans?
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's not as many liar loans. It's not as easy to qualify for. So yeah, a lot of that stuff has worked its way out of the market. We all know there's a lot more cash from overseas and domestically, both buying up properties and sitting on them to a certain extent. But you know, out here in Dallas, I have a couple of friends who are contractors who do a lot of volume with a lot of hedge funds that buy 20, 30, 40 houses at a time just to park their cash on something and make not a very good return on it. So yeah, we're not seeing necessarily a leverage up in the lending side of it, but we're seeing a certain amount of leverage up in the investment side of it that I think is not sustainable. I don't think it will crash nearly as well as it did in 2008. I think that's really difficult. I don't think there's as much fundamentals behind what's driving this market this time around, but there's still definitely a bit of a bubble coming. We're not going to see 2008 again, I don't think, for a minute. Probably see it later, but we're not going to see what that crash is.
Okay. So now let's take a look at what you're using and what you're seeing. And you could start with Euro USD or.
Well, I'm kind of seeing the same trend I think that everyone's seeing over 2017. It's pretty much something that find something that the dollar is traded against and buy whatever the other thing is and pick the strongest one. Pretty much like you guys were talking about in the webinar this morning. I don't know, the euro's a good example, isn't it?
Did you ride this move at all?
Oh, well, yeah, I think so. It's always a trick because you don't know it's going to do something like this, you know, until you're in the middle of it. And there's different areas, obviously, on the way up that you can short against. I mean, you see here.
What are those bands that you have there? They're not bold.
50, 100, and 200.
Oh, okay, they're moving averages.
All right. And they're not doing a whole lot, as we can see. I mean, it was great here and here, but didn't do a whole lot, and 100 is not doing a whole lot. I like trading personally on fibs in the predominant direction of a move. So, for example, in a move like this, if I was to trade on the short side, I would be looking for entries like this. There we go. I would be looking for entries that correlate either with basically a couple different things, maybe moving average, like the 100 here on the day, and a fib retracement. You look at the big ones, you know, 30%, 50%, and 618% retracements, and look for entries on that. But at some point, you got to convince yourself that the market's going the right direction. And for those, for directionality, I usually like looking at trend lines. So you can see, you know, this trend line pretty well supported. And here, I usually like looking at breaks and trend lines for directional change in a trend.
Okay, so you have no reason technically to think that it's over until we break at least maybe your first sharpest uptrend line that comes in around 115. It looks like.
Yeah, probably not. Well, we all like picking tops, so and it's fun to do. And if you do it, you know, enough times, you get it right. So I mean, this is pretty telling up here, isn't it? I mean, this is supposed to be telling, but yesterday, you know, it didn't really do much for us. And then the next one, you know, is up here. So yeah, we'd all like to short this and pick the top with 10 pips and ride a 500 pip move to the south. But you know, until we have a reason to, I think we're going to keep going up probably. Now that being said, it's probably going to turn around tomorrow and drop 200 pips, and we'll see.
Okay, so we're on a weekly. Take us through your progression. Do you look for trades from longer term time frames and then drill down for entries? Yeah,
pretty standard, pretty boring. I mean, nothing too special about it. So probably in this area, you got to figure.
I think it's very, very, very special.
Well, hey, if it makes you money, you find something that works and you do it until it doesn't make money anymore. So I guess in this area, you're looking, you start looking long for in this area, and then for entries, and what's more beautiful, I guess, than really clearer than just seeing this. We have our consolidation. If you want to put some lines on it, do that. You see your consolidation. You put a fib up here.
Yeah.
Where's a good one? Put it up here, right? Okay.
You're the boss.
Flips
We're
our
all
6-1.
captains of our own ship when it comes to drawing lines or clicking our mouse.
Exactly. Anyway, clips the 618 and it projects up to, I don't have the extension turned on, but it projects probably up to about a 1.5, it looks like up here. And then it just keeps doing that all the way up. And until you have a reason to stop doing it, and again, for me, it's a major trend line on a higher time frame. Until you have a reason to stop doing it, you just keep doing it until you're wrong. And obviously, we all know it works with pretty much any pair, but the euro has been fantastic for at least this year.
Okay. What's on, do you kind of like have any feelings about, feelings? Do you have any real strong biases for the rest of the year? Do you trade with biases, or you look at the chart and that tells you everything? Not really. Okay. Yeah, not really. Pretty much technical stuff. Obviously, we all listen to fundamentals here and there, but I think they. So you're agnostic about the markets, and you don't care where they're going. You just want to identify the trend and look for good entries to take advantage of the trend. And for the most part, I think that works fairly well for most traders. Really, I think the fundamentals kind of can confirm a directional bias that's already established in the market. I think for the most part, the market really likes looking at one thing at a time. And you have to think when you have a move, like this. What piece of news is going to pop out? Come on, load. Anyway, what piece of news is going to pop out that's going to change this bias in the market? What is that? 1100 pips. No, we all don't want to buy the high, but you don't want to fight the trend either, and that's kind of that's kind of contradictory to a certain extent. I see you have RSI on the bottom. It's all scratched up. How do you use RSI? How do you use it? Kind of like you do, actually. In fact, I think I've learned a little bit from listening to your way of using it. I think it's not a terribly good tool for picking divergence and picking a change in direction. But I think you see what? Well, let's see a good one. Not on this, maybe on a daily. You use it for confirming direction. Yeah, I think it works better for that. I think there's a lot of false divergences that you bump into that just don't really do you any good. I mean. Yeah, there's one that actually did do good, but you bump into a lot that don't. So, for example, high here, getting into overbought, okay, maybe we're going to see a consolidation, and then, you buy on a dip, and you confirm this dip with, again, I like confirming the dip with some kind of fib. And also looking at price action, you probably, on this particular price action, you probably buy, excuse me, get out of the way. Anyway, you probably buy on the, on the 318, but then, if you're going long, you probably buy on this, and you're probably safe in that. Like realistically, you use stops? Yeah, you use stops, but that wasn't convincing. Do you use stops? Of course, I use stops. Everyone uses stops. All right, just checking. But the other, the other big danger in trading is I'm not opposed to doubling down if I think the trend's in the right direction and the price is going the way I want it to. Okay. That being said. You always use proper money management. You don't risk more than you can afford to lose on a trade. I don't think that your account balance is risk capital by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's stupid. But I think that any the maximum exposure that you have at any given time absolutely is risk capital. And if you can't afford to live without it, you probably shouldn't be trading it. I agree. How do you know if it's risk capital? Well, if you can still have a nice steak dinner in the evening with your wife. Now I know why you moved to Texas. That's not bad, is it? All right. So anything else you want to share with the community, Tim? I want to congratulate you. A lot of people that do this also have an axe to grind. You have about 6,000 followers. Have you ever had any kind of service to people? Oh, yeah. I just get them. I just get them by talking crap on Twitter and pissing people off. You're a troll. Yeah, heck yeah. That's the point of Twitter, isn't it? Isn't that why they made it? I'm beginning to believe so. You're convincing me.
I've thought about it, but I like real estate and trading too much, and I don't think I really want to deal with the responsibility. It was tough for me to write an article once a week a couple of years ago, so I think it'd be tough for me to every day sit in a trading room or give out signals to someone. I don't think it's something that I'd be good at. Why are you guys hiring?
I don't know. I don't do the hiring.
Well,
So you can email Blake at ForexAnalytix.com.
Okay. Tweet it to me.
All right.
No, I don't think so.
But I want to congratulate you for coming on and wanting to share. And a lot of people fear death, public speaking more than death. So
public speaking is a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah.
Could I say a final note on a kind of a different level?
Yeah.
Just for newer traders or for people that are thinking about getting into something like real estate or something like trading, is really, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
Is really do your homework, and again, don't treat it like a job where you show up on Monday to Friday and expect to get paid. Treat it like a lifestyle, and treat it like really having a company. Where you are the one employee, that you have to treat that aspect of it like a job, but have a business plan, have a model, have an idea of where you want to go and how you want to do it. And I don't just mean taking a $1,000 account and doing your compounding thing on Excel and saying, well, shoot, I'm going to be a millionaire in 4 years if I just make 30% a month for the next 48 months. I mean really sitting down and having the mindset of what is my time worth in terms of what I'm doing, and how to pursue doing it. And let me give an example, just real quick, is how long does it take to learn how to trade? It takes as long as it takes to learn how to walk. And for me, I've actually learned how to walk twice. Once when I was, 1 or 2 or something like that. And once 2.5 years ago where I fell while rock climbing and broke my back and was paralyzed for a minute. And I'll tell you, it's tougher to learn how to walk the second time after you've had a big setback like that than the first time, because you know what it's supposed to be like, but you don't really know how you're supposed to do it this time around. And just one quick story that I think will be kind of interesting is, everything's fine now, by the way. We have a great real estate company, great trading. Out of getting out of the hospital and barely being able to walk, we actually ramped up on construction and do roofs and some construction too, which is one of the funniest things about being paralyzed. Starting a roofing company is kind of a weird thing, and that's just something that we do, here and there. But I had one experience in the hospital in therapy when I was outpatient at Sharp in San Diego. Okay, let me pull this up real quick, show you if you don't mind.
What happened? You fell off a roof?
No, I fell while rock climbing, actually.
Rock climbing, okay.
And yeah, here we go. That's kind of cool. And there's getting on the plane, flying from Dallas to San Diego. And here is, if it'll load, walking out of the hospital in San Diego, if it'll load. Anyway, when you pursue something like trading, when I was an outpatient in San Diego in the hospital, one of the first times I walked, they have a little kind of 100-yard square that you walk around to practice your walking.
Right.
And the therapist and my wife actually commented after we completed this the first time that you could actually feel the heat radiating off of me from these legs that hadn't worked for probably 2.5 months or walking out of the hospital. You could feel the heat radiating off of me from walking out of this hospital after I learned how to walk again. And if you take that passion into something else like real estate or like trading, and that desire and that drive, because a lot of people don't want to put that much work into it, quite honestly. If you take that same passion and devote it to something that you want to do, like real estate or like trading, or take your pick. There's no magic pill. There's no magic way to make $1 million. It really takes determination, and it takes just drive to do it. You take that same drive where you can actually have people feel your passion about what you're doing radiate off you. You can really do amazing things with yourself. That's a house that we built last year. And here's one we're actually building for a client this year. So when I got out of the hospital, again, barely able to walk, and decided to kind of jump back into real estate because I didn't have enough money at the time to pursue trading the way I liked to. because you're out of commission for 6 months. It puts a big ding in your bank account.
Yeah.
I took that same drive and devoted it back into real estate and back into construction. And honestly, don't even like dealing with clients in construction that much, but blew up the business incredibly. And now actually looking to get back out of it just because we're not really, not like I said, I don't really like it. But take that same drive of learning how to walk and learning how to do something you love and put it to something that's really constructive for yourself, and you can do an amazing thing with it. It's a lot of fun.
So the tragedy was the spark and catalyst for you to have a new lease on life and a different perspective of your life in the world.
Absolutely.
Through it. Okay.
Absolutely. I had the experience of getting old and getting old really quick, and then having the amazing opportunity of getting over being old and being able to experience things differently. And it definitely it changed up my blood pressure all over the place. Things that used to piss me off really don't matter anymore. You
don't sweat the small stuff, because after not being able to walk, almost everything is small stuff.
When you have a singular mindset that all that matters, we had 3 houses going before the accident. Lost a ton of money on one, broke even on another, and made a little bit on another. And honestly, none of that mattered when we were in the hospital, because all that mattered was, and fortunately we had enough, money to pay our bills, but none of that mattered because our one goal was learning how to walk again and getting out of there. And a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't have the desire or the drive in business and life and in whatever it might be to really give it their all. And if they did, they could do amazing things with it in trading, in life, in real estate, and whatever it might be. And I was very fortunate. Like I said, it was a life-changing experience for me. And it's not something I wish on anyone, but it's something, having gone through, you're definitely better off from.
Thank you for your inspirational talk, and being an open book. And it's like you don't appreciate what you have till you lose it sometimes. So we take for granted just walking around, Tim, don't we? Until we can't do it. So I'm glad to call you my trading warrior brother, and you are a warrior in more ways than just the markets by your life story. Glad to call you my friend, Tim, and thanks so much for talking about trading and real estate and what you went through and the fire that you have burning inside of you now. So thank you so much. It was a great interview. I'm glad I reached out to you.
Well, thank you so much, Dale. I really appreciate it. It was a fantastic time, and I absolutely love what you guys are doing. Love the interviews. Please keep them going.
Thank you so much, Tim. So that's Turnaround Tuesday, guys. I want to thank Blake and Steve and Stelios and Tim Kosen. What an inspirational story that is. So, you never know what another man or woman has gone through unless you're in their shoes. So we got to feel for what it was like to be in Tim's shoes. So like I say, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. There are many people out there that can't walk, and the fact that you could go for a walk on the beach on a beautiful day is worth 1,000 pips to me. So thank you everyone for your great questions. See you tomorrow. Good luck on the Fed minutes. We'll see if any of these Turnaround Tuesday candidates manifest. See you tomorrow. Adios.